Hey, you found us! Welcome to VID-O-RAMA, where we remember the VHS releases of the past in graphic detail. My name's Aaron Jones and I'm an artist, and each month on this channel I paint a tribute to a movie that we rented on video back in the day. Let me tell you something else about myself. I love cryptozoology, and I have done so since an early age, and I can still remember the first time I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film. That film cemented my fascination for all things Bigfoot related. I've been fortunate to paint Bigfoot several times during my career, and I've even had the honour of having one of my paintings hanging in Lauren Coleman's International Cryptozoology Museum in Bangor in Maine. And so with that in mind, I thought it was about time we added a Bigfoot movie to the channel's lineup. But not just any old Bigfoot movie, the best. The Legend of Boggy Creek, released in 1972, and it celebrates its 50th anniversary this month. Part documentary, part nature film. It shared various eyewitness accounts about a supposed 7-foot tall ape man that roams the backwaters of Arkansas. It went on to be a huge hit and financial success, and it remains a cult classic to this very day. So, as you can see, I prepared the drawing beforehand and it's all set for painting. So, put your feet up and watch me paint my tribute to the Legend of Boggy Creek. The colours I'm using today are titanium white, Mars black, raw umber and sap green. But I'll use my fingers first. I get more coverage and it stops the streaks coming up when I scan the painting. The detail, as ever, is added with pens. Okay then, the Sasquatch. The reclusive hairy giant, which has eluded science for years now, is known by many names, but perhaps more so by its nickname, Bigfoot, which it was christened in 1958 when Jerry Crew, a bulldozer operator near Bluff Creek in California, discovered a strange set of large footprints in the mud one day. It seemed that he wasn't the only one to spot these tracks. His co-workers had noticed them too, and they believed that they belonged to whatever it was that had been moving various heavy objects around the construction site late at night. The local paper covered the story and referred to the culprit as Bigfoot, and the name stuck. Although that incident has since been revealed to be a hoax perpetrated by contractor Ray Wallace, the story fired the imagination of America. Bluff Creek would once again gain the attention of the world in 1967 when filmmaker Roger Patterson and his friend Bob Gimlin captured the famous Patterson-Gimlin footage that I mentioned before, which they offered up as conclusive evidence that a large, hairy, bipedal ape-like creature inhabited the forests of North America. It divided the world, believers and non-believers. But you would be forgiven for thinking that Bigfoot sightings are a relatively new sensation, but this is not actually the case. According to various indigenous cultures, the Sasquatch has roamed parts of the United States and Canada for centuries, and they're not necessarily exclusively confined to California. In fact, one of its stomping grounds is reported to be the landlocked state of Arkansas, specifically the city of Fouke, where reports have been made of a large hairy wild man wandering the swamps as far back as 1851. But by the 1900s, sightings of the monster had become more frequent along Boggy Creek, which joins the Sulphur River. Numerous intriguing reports were made that seemed to describe the same creature. By the 1960s, the newly dubbed Jonesville Monster was still being spotted, crossing in front of cars and so forth, but in 1965 it encountered a young boy by the name of Lynn Crabtree. The boy was out hunting when the beast approached him. Crabtree fired his 12-gauge shotgun with no effect before running home. Authorities were sceptical of all the reports being made, but in May 1971 everything changed when a gentleman by the name of Bobby Ford claimed that he had actually been attacked by the creature. Both he, his wife Elizabeth and brother Don reported seeing the monster outside their home. Apparently the red-eyed beast even reached in through the window to grab Elizabeth on one occasion. The men fired at it from the porch. They were certain they'd struck the creature when they contacted the sheriff's department, who attended the scene, but they found no blood and no body, just some tracks. It later returned to the house and attacked. Ford had been taken to hospital for scratches and mild shock after running through a locked door, trying to escape the monster's grasp. The following month, Fouke gas station owner Willie Smith discovered tracks similar to those found at the Ford house in his soybean field. A plaster cast was made which suggested that the creature walked on 3 toes. The terrified Ford family encounter with the 3-toed Fouke monster made the papers, and suddenly the entire county and then the entire country was interested in Boggy Creek and its monster. One man was especially interested, and that was an advertising salesman by the name of Mr. Charles B. Pierce. An artist-illustrator born in 1938 in Hammond, Indiana, he grew up in Hampton, Arkansas, and having worked as a TV weatherman in Louisiana, and later played Mayor Chuckles in local children's television show The Laugh-A-Lot Club. He was now running an advertising agency in Texarkana with aspirations of making a movie. When he heard about the Fouke monster, he visited Fouke and interviewed eyewitnesses with the intention of making a documentary about the creature. I feel I should just chime in at this point and see if you are following what I'm actually doing here. I am using various elements from nature to suggest that there is a creature in the background. See, it's open to interpretation. Huh? Clever, eh? I've not done anything like this on this scale before, so I'm still not sure if it's going to work, but let's see how it turns out. But with that established, Charles B. Pierce set out to make a film about the Fouke monster. Realising that he would need to independently finance the film, he approached L.W. Buddy Ledwell Jr., owner and founder of Ledwell & Son, a lumber company established in 1946 that had since gone on to be a highly successful custom truck body and trailer manufacturer. Pierce had made a commercial for Ledwell's company in the past, and he managed to persuade Ledwell to invest $100,000 in the project. And so, armed with an old 16mm camera and some eager Texarkana high school students, he visited Fouke and shot the movie on location. He approached various people at a gas station and persuaded them to be in the film, some of which played themselves recounting their own experiences with the monster. Pierce made friends with a local resident by the name of Smokey Crabtree, who appeared in the film, as did his son Travis, and apparently Smokey helped rally other Fouke residents to share their stories. Pierce even recruited his own family in the film. His wife Florence Pierce played Bessie Smith, his daughters Pamela and Amanda Pierce played the little girls, and Chuck Pierce Jr. played Jim as a boy. Pierce himself sang the haunting song Lonely Cry. He had originally brought in a lounge singer to perform the song, accompanied by an orchestra. However, on the day, Pierce wasn't happy with it, and so he performed the song himself, his intention being to hire someone else down the line. But the money ran out, and so it stayed that way. Having finished the movie, he then drove to California to process the film, where he met Jamie Mendoza Nava, who agreed to work on the film for him for a limited upfront pay and a percentage of the film's box office. With the movie in the can and ready to go, Pierce then had trouble finding a studio to distribute it, and so he took the task on himself. He four-walled the Paramount Theatre in Texarkana, he cleaned it up, promoted the event, and screened it to crowds that lined the streets. It was a hit. And based on that, Howco Productions agreed to distribute the movie across the country, and it made an estimated $25 million. And it would be one of the highest grossing films of 1972. The Legend of Boggy Creek wasn't the first Bigfoot movie. Movies that featured a Yeti, somewhat similar, or an ancient throwback aside, the first to bear its name was Bigfoot, released in 1970, starring John Carradine. And then there was that filthy animal that featured in the infamous 1971 movie The Geek. Who knows, if this video gets 1 million views, I might do that one next. But Boggy Creek's claim to fame is that it was the first Bigfoot movie to make it big, sparking an interest in all things Bigfoot, and soon there was a plethora of imitation Bigfoot documentary or Bigfoot movies trying to cash in on the hype. Such movies as Legend of Bigfoot and The Mysterious Monsters, both released in 1975. There was Creature from the Black Lake and The Curse of Bigfoot in 1976. Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot in 1977. Man Beast, Myth or Monster in 1978. And there was The Capture of Bigfoot in 1979. I'm not sure what category to put 1977 Snow Beast. I've just messed up. I wasn't happy with Travis Crabtree's likeness as I was painting, so I painted it out and started again. And I wasn't happy with that either, so I painted over it again. Now, I've done it so many times, it's just not even, so I hate having to do this, but it's a last resort. I am going to, with this photocopy of the original drawing, I'm going to cut out the face and then glue it over the actual painting and start over, basically. Like I said, last resort. I haven't done this for years, but it's just a mess, so it's one of those things. I will proceed to cut. So with glue, I apply a generous amount to make sure there's plenty of coverage on it, all the while try not to get the glue on the front of it, because that'll react to the paint, giving me more work. And so I try and line it up, and hopefully you won't be able to tell. There you go. Don't think you'd know, would you? You're not going to tell anyone, are you? This is our little secret, just between us, okay? But following on from the success of Boggy Creek, Pierce went on to make 12 more films, mainly westerns, but he did make other horror movies. There was of course The Town That Dreaded Sundown in 1976, which recounted a Texarkana cold case featuring the Phantom Killer. Well worth a look if you haven't seen it yet. It's presented in much the same documentary style as Boggy Creek, in fact. But perhaps that's a story for another day. There was also The Evictors in 1979, about a young couple who moved to a rural farmhouse in Louisiana, being tormented by the previous owners. But he was still making movies and working as a set decorator on other productions when he moved to California during the early 80s. He then co-wrote the screenplay for Sudden Impact for his friend Clint Eastwood. Pierce was also credited for Eastwood's Go Ahead Make My Day line. There had been an unrelated sequel to Legend of Boggy Creek released in 1977 called The Return to Boggy Creek, starring Dawn Wells and Dana Plato, of which Pierce had no part in, but after several years and later to Pierce's regret, American International Pictures persuaded him to make a sequel, Boggy Creek 2 and The Legend Continues, which was released in 1985. The format for that one is somewhat different to the first movie. Pierce wrote, directed, produced and starred in it. He continued to work on movies, but eventually settled on working as a set decorator on various TV shows. In 2008 he was honoured at the Little Rock Film Festival and by the Arkansas Arts Council in 2009. Pierce died aged 71 on March 5th, 2010, and on June 16th Arkansas declared it to be Charles B. Pierce Day in his honour. Despite all odds, he succeeded where others had failed. He took on the major studios and became a successful movie maker, whose movies both entertain and inspire others. As for the monster of Boggy Creek, Fouke itself has people from all over the globe visiting, hoping to either photograph or shoot the beast, and Fouke holds a festival that celebrates the monster each year. Many of the people in attendance are cryptozoologists inspired to pursue the cause by the legend of Boggy Creek. But what the beast actually is still open to discussion, and until someone actually captures it, science will continue to ignore it. Sightings are still being reported to this day. Is it an escaped ape, a misidentified bear, or an undiscovered throwback? I've no idea. Whatever it is, I'd like to think there is some truth to it. But rest assured, the movie that made it famous will continue to enthrall us and remind us that there is still a bit of wilderness left and that there are still mysteries left unsolved.
This is where the story plays, a world on which we seldom gaze, a page from the book of yesterdays, birds and beasts and wind and water, here beneath the bright blue sky. No man's smoke blinds the eagle's eye, and things that crawl or swim or fly feed and breed and live and die. Hear the sulphur river flow, storm cloud blows, and this is where the creature goes, safe within a world he knows. Perhaps he dimly wonders why is there no other such as I, to touch, to love before I die, to listen to my lonely cry. Where he searches, where he goes, this of course nobody knows, but once you hear his lonely cry, you can guess the reason why. Whether he's a beast or man, what drives him wandering across the land, his love for others of his clan, and loneliness he cannot stand. Perhaps he dimly wonders why is there no other such as I, to touch, to love before I die, to listen to my lonely cry.
I'll just sign it and we'll call it done. And I'll take this opportunity to thank you for keeping me company. As ever, I hope that was of interest to you, and I hope you approve of the final painting. If so, let me know what you think in the comments, and give the video a thumbs up. And please support my little channel by checking out my other videos and clicking the subscribe button. I've not painted a nature scene for some years now, so I hope it's inspired you to seek out The Legend of Boggy Creek or rewatch it on this, its 50th year. I'd like to thank Beth for our musical interlude, and I'd like to thank you for your interest. And so, until next time, dear viewer, good night out there, whatever you are.